I grew up Catholic and went to a Catholic church most of my life, raised my kids Catholic, but I felt like I was always searching for something more. Years later, I found myself here at the Bridge and started doing Bible studies and went and bought a Bible for the first time, and I would sit down at night and read it, and it just sucked me in so much. This is what I was looking for. I was looking for that deeper connection, and that's where I found it, was in the Word. My name is Mindy Baird, and I've been coming here about 6-7 years. Throughout the last several years, I had been through a lot of losses. I was separated from my company, and I had lost a good portion of my best friends. My daughter had been struggling with a drug addiction for 20 years, and 6 months after she had her son is when she started with the drug addiction. So I ended up raising him most of his life, and my daughter had gone to jail when she relapsed. My grandson and I were both just so depressed, and I just one day finally hit my knees, and I literally waved an invisible white flag and said, "I give." At that point, I was able to see where he was pulling away things that were keeping me from him. When you have a child that's dealing with addiction, you do feel very alone, and you do isolate, because you don't want to go out and somebody say, "Oh, how's your kids?" "Oh, in jail. She's in rehab again. How's yours?" You isolate because you don't want to be asked those questions. Once I joined the Connect group, and I knew that they knew my story, but they loved me anyway. And instead of feeling judged, I was welcome these women. I mean, they are, at any point in time, I could call any of them day or night, and they would be there for me. I realized what a role model I ended up being for my grandson. And one day I told him, you know who the most important person in my life is? And he said, "Who?" And I said, "You." And he said, "No, I'm not. God is." And I said, "Oh, you're right. Okay, well, you're number 2. When God was removing everything out of my life, I realized that my identity hadn't been in him. My identity was in who I was working for, who my boyfriend was, who my friends were. My security was in my friends and my job. And all the time, God was sitting in that corner waiting for me to go to him. My view on generosity has changed because when I was at the Catholic Church, I gave what was left over. Trusting him with your money is tough because sometimes we lose sight of the fact that he gave us all of that. And we'd like to keep it. It's our security. I would hear him and be feeling like the Holy Spirit was prompting me to give. And I would hear a number, and I'd be thinking, there's no way I can do that. It's scary. It's very scary. And then you kind of wait for the other shoe to fall, and it doesn't. It is all about listening and obeying and trusting. Unfinished, to me, it's really this church coming together as a community, obeying God and making things happen. And you have to keep coming into this place and realizing that there's so much love and support here.